Hey there, my name is Josh Giotti, Van Guru here at VanDoit, and today we are here to talk through the AGM battery system. Here at VanDoit, we offer two different types of batteries, your lithium and AGM battery. And while we could literally talk about the differences all day long, we're going to try to keep it as short and simple as possible, while at the same time educating you to decide which investment is right for you. And today we're going to do that with the AGM by asking a couple questions to consider to decide if it's right for you, as well as get into some of the product features. So, with that said, let's get into it. So one of the very first things I ask every client is what a standard trip will look like for them. So I'm going to do the same exact thing with you. Go ahead and pause the video and start to think about what past trips have looked like for you and what future trips with a van will look like. Start considering things like what equipment you'll be bringing, what electrical needs you have, how often you'll be traveling each month, as well as how long those trips will be. So go ahead, take a minute and get your notes together. Okay, so you've got your notes together. Perfect. So when I ask this question, I'm typically looking for a couple things. And the first is how long your trip will be. Generally speaking, I found that clients are typically on one extreme or the other as far as being like weekend travelers or longer length trips. And contrary to popular belief, we've actually found that the majority of our clients are weekend warriors. So, if you're primarily going to be using this van as a weekend getaway or extended weekend, then AGM is definitely something for you to consider. AGM is a great option for running standard electrical accessories for 1.5 to 2 days without recharging to any capacity. If you're one of our many weekend warriors, AGM is definitely something for you to consider. So the second thing I listen for with every client is where they plan to stay. Some clients describe an experience where they're going to be sitting in one location, a more stationary experience. Obviously, this is more of your campground experience. And while the second set of clients sometimes describe a set of experiences where they're going to be more touring a location or an area. So, if you are someone that is going to be in more stationary positions and are going to be staying in one spot with the van, then obviously this is going to be in areas where shore power is more readily available. I would definitely consider the AGM in this case, as you're going to have shore power to run your van and components like your air conditioner. Now, if you're someone that is going to be more touring a location and more touring in the area, which I have found is the majority of our clients, then what I would recommend is considering this in conjunction with the length of trip. So if you're going to be traveling for 1 to 3 days in a specific location, then considering AGM with this, as we previously mentioned, is a great idea. However, if you're going to be going longer than that and you want to be off-grid longer than that, for 4 to 7 days, then I would definitely consider lithium. However, the caveat to this, of course, is that as you drive and as you're touring the location, your alternator will be recharging your battery bank as well as your solar. So the third thing and final thing to consider will be your electrical needs. The final things I'm listening for is electrical needs, which may be one of the most important. So maybe you're one of the many who has come from tent camping, backpacking, or sleeping in the back of your car, and really what you're looking for is a more comfortable place to sleep, as well as a few electrical commodities. In this case, AGM is most likely perfect for you. As we've mentioned, it will run your standard electrical accessories for 1.5 to 2 days. Now, what does standard electrical use look like? I'm glad you asked. We define at VanDoit standard electrical use as running your lights, your air vent, TV, refrigerator, and moderate use of your AC outlets. So if 1.5 to 2 days of standard use fits your electrical needs that you've outlined for yourself, then AGM is perfect for you. Now keep in mind that your alternator and solar will be recharging you as you drive and as you're parked in the sun. So what you need to consider is if you're going to be in a situation while you're off-grid for longer than a 2-day period where you will not be able to charge. If you are planning to travel off-grid without driving, without solar for longer than 2 days, or if your electrical use is beyond that of a standard use, then definitely lithium is something for you to consider. So, now that we've talked about some of the questions to consider, let's talk about some of the physical features of the AGM battery bank. So the product features of AGM, surprisingly, it's a pretty short list. And so real quick, right behind me, you've got your Vanduit AGM battery bank. This is made of 3 12-volt deep cycle AGM batteries that are 100 amp hours apiece. So in total, this creates a 300 amp hour battery bank that is separate from your car battery. However, one cool feature of this is you can actually reverse the charge and jump your car battery off the Vanduit battery bank if you ever needed to. This feature is exclusive to the AGM battery bank and cannot be done with the lithium. So to invert this power into usable AC power, we've got your inverter, which is a 3-in-1 inverter. To turn the inverter on, simply hit the on-off button on the inverter controller. Once you do, you'll start to notice that the inverter starts to power up, and once it's on, you'll be able to see voltage as well as other readings. This should mean your outlets are live and are able to be used for your electrical accessories as well as household items. So that's pretty much all I got for you here on the AGM battery bank. So that's all we have for you here on the AGM today. To recap a little bit for you, some things to keep in mind. Number one, your length of trip. Are you primarily going to be a weekend warrior or longer term trip? Second, where you plan to stay. Are you going to be a stationary traveler once you get to your location, or plan to more tour an area? And lastly, your electrical needs. Is 1.5 to 2 days of standard use enough for what you plan to do in conjunction with the length of trip and where you plan to stay? Or do you need to be off-grid without recharging for longer than 2 days at a time? So that's all we have for you here today at this time. Please make sure to check the lithium battery bank video out. We do go a little bit more in depth into some more, I guess you could say, scientific or more technical terminology with the batteries, and will definitely help you make the decision as well. So we'll see you guys on that video and talk to you there.